And we're back with Limor Kissem from RSA, the Security Division of EMC, and this is their Fraud Action Labs over in Israel. Limor is going to be talking more about APTs, Advanced Persistent Threats. All right, Limor, go ahead. You've got it.
All right, thanks. So I'm going to go back into to where we stopped and speak about malware. Malware in the enterprise has been one of the hottest issues this year, especially with the bring your own device trend that has no other way but to exacerbate the effect. There's going to be more problems, and a lot of organizations are realizing now that with BYOD, they're going to have to deal with a lot more security this year until at least they get everything under control. So when we're talking again about the SPTs, the simple persistent threats, problem with them is that they can lead to APTs. And we already know that fraudsters in the underground boast when they have Trojan infections in enterprises and they sell access to those machines for more money. So when someone is planning a more serious attack on any one entity, they could start there. They can go and purchase access to a computer that's already infected. And even if a fraudster is just planning to empty a business bank account of a small to medium SMB, he could start with access to their infected PC. So malware in corporate machines are like holes in Swiss cheese. They're wide open and they're very exploitable. So we might be asking ourselves, okay, well, how is IT not seeing this? Well, IT cannot always tell when there's a Trojan on a computer that's leaking information. And these Trojans are very well programmed to fly under the radar and keep out of sight. So IT will not typically see this sort of malware-infected machines unless they have networking and monitoring tool that will drill down to the packets and see what goes out in those communications. Eventually, they may catch on to ciphering data. Most of the time, they find out when it's too late. Another layer of security that can be added to for companies for them to tackle the issue of SPTs is using malware blacklists, which will prevent users from getting to known infection points, and use blocking the Trojan drop zones, like known drop zones, to impede the flow of stolen data to those known malicious control servers. So that's mitigation. It's an added layer of security. Overall, the absolute reliance enterprises, shops, manufacturers, and corporations have on the internet and how they have come to have digital assets has placed us in a place where we really have to adapt and step up security. And this is all about these breaches in hospitals, for example. The damages there are huge when patient data is leaked or stolen, and these sometimes start out as simple malware infections. And the same thing goes for hotel systems. When you hear about, a big hotel gets up in the news about fraud, and it sounds terrible, but nobody's thinking that all this started out with some sort of malware that infected his first computer, and then strategically somebody worked on making that worth their while. So, I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Joe, we know that no one is 100% bulletproof. In the cases of APT, that's a different story. But at least when it comes to these simplest threats that are not necessarily very targeted, some extra security can go a long way in prevention. And I mentioned before shops and manufacturers, and this I did not speak about the most evident and most crucial targets that are government and military. And here, Joe, because even there with a mere data stealing banking Trojan that was just maybe destined to get, simple theft going, the damages increase tenfold because once a fraudster realizes that he has an infected computer in the government or on a military PC, then he's starting to think of what to do with it and who to sell it to. And that's when something very simple can become something very serious. And the world of online threats has only been galloping forward, not only in its advanced nature, but also in the sheer number of variants and attacks. We all have to catch on and understand that today, no matter how big or small an organization is, there is a cyber criminal who will take interest in it and think of ways to exploit it. And that's it. We have it for today.
Well, thanks a lot. Let me ask you a question if I can, and hopefully you can hear me clearly. All right, because I am leaning into the mic right now for the people who are actually watching the show. All right, and my question is this: when you're talking about simple, persistent threats, We've recently focused a lot on IPv6. All right, and you know how some companies are transitioning over from IPv4 to IPv6, and how some companies are trying to avoid it, and they really can't avoid it because it's being built into a lot of the newer machines, or has been for the last probably at least a year. All right. Have you seen anything in that particular area that would affect, these simple, persistent threats that you've identified? Has anything come up on your radar screen yet regarding IPv6? Now, mind you, Limor, the global launch was only on June 6th. All right, so this is all very, very new. Did you get
Joe,
any
I'm
of?
sorry, I just heard you very sporadically in between there, and I heard you speaking about IPv6, but I'm not certain that I understood the whole question because the line is not very good, clear.
All right, Lamar. We'll catch up with you during the week and see if we can get more information on it. All right, that's good for today, and thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. So.